Okay, good afternoon everyone, and welcome to today's session. Corey Bell is my name from Independent Vets of Australia. I'm the General Manager. And today we're delighted to bring you another one of our Masterclass series webinar sessions. And today we're looking at an area that is constantly evolving and probably one of the most challenging areas that many businesses, particularly animal health, find some of the biggest challenges into is getting to that reach into your customer base, and how you sort of do that remotely and or different ways of being able to sort of reach them other than them standing in front of you at the counter. So being visible and valuable to build a stronger client relationships is the session for today, and we're really delighted to be able to bring this to you for today's session. So a little bit about IVA in the meantime. So for those non-members on the session today, IVA is a group of collective wonderful minds, I think we can sort of say, with our clinics that join IVA, and we're there to assist independent practices to remain independent and to build stronger practices and stronger independence. And we do that in various ways that support your business while you do what you do best and sort of running your practice. And quite often the support networks and programs around that is some of the most difficult things to be able to achieve. And so from IVA's perspective, we sort of sit in the background of your practice and enable you to have better access to a variety of business services, business support networks, and various sort of commercial arrangements that we've able to negotiate for the group. That you as a member are able to access. We're supported by a lot of industry partners, and certainly today we are joined by one of those partners, who's one of our very valuable partners who runs many sessions for us at IVA, which is terrific. So I'd like to introduce our speakers today. Dr. Amanda Chin, again, for those of you who haven't sort of met Amanda from other sessions before, is the co-founder of VetCheck. And VetCheck is certainly a business that we've had deep relationships with in the industry that help practices have access, again, from a digital perspective on how they reach their customer base, the resources that are available for you to be able to use within the practice that enable you to be able to talk to your customers in a more efficient way with the resources that are available from VetCheck. And also today we've got Stephen Toms from GoVet, who is also a co-partner of VetCheck as well. And Stephen's team and Stephen himself is in the digital marketing arena, and Stephen's an expert in this area, a trainer and a speaker in sort of that digital marketing space. And for us all, it's one of those areas that's so vital to our business and how we're reaching our customers. So I'd like to hand over to Amanda to start with. Amanda, thank you. Stephen, thank you as well for joining us. We're certainly looking forward to your session today. And if I can work out how to stop sharing, I'll do that and let you have control, Amanda, with the screen. Okay.
So can you guys see my screen?
We can see your screen, Amanda.
Okay.
Desktop at the moment.
It's just the desktop view, not the...
Oh, I've got the wrong one.
I'll just get your other screen there.
Perfect.
There we go.
All good.
Okay,
Perfect.
Great. Thanks. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Corey, for that introduction, and to IVA for having us. Stephen and I are really excited to talk to you all about some simple strategies to stay visible and add value to build stronger client relationships. And over the hour, we'll be covering areas of client communication, websites, social media, and email marketing. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat box and we'll try and get to them. I'm sure you'd all agree that COVID-19 has brought some big challenges to the way we run our practices. But it is really a timely reminder that in times of crisis, our clients need us more than ever. This presents a really important responsibility to reach out to our clients, stay visible, add value, And this can be done through a number of enhanced communications and channels. So to start with, I'm going to go through, I guess, the customer journey and how it relates to practice. And then I'll be passing it to Stephen to go through some really valuable tips on email marketing. To start with, I'm going to touch on some of the changes that we have seen in pet owner habits, particularly during COVID-19. So in terms of the pet owner habits, you know, we'd all agree with this. You know, we're spending more time at home, we're stuck at home. You know, what else can we do but to be online more? We're pushed to our devices for work, play and connection, which, you know, businesses are now seeing a 20% increase in website traffic. We're staying up later, we're seeing a large spike in late night search traffic, and, you know, pets still remain a #1, you know, companion throughout this crisis, where animal adoption has doubled in some parts of the country. In terms of their mindset, you know, people are a lot more anxious, they're more confused, they're worried about big stuff like, you know, their income, their business, job security, kids missing school. You know, people are just overall a lot more anxious. They're spending more time with their pets, and these can have side effects too. So, you know, we're seeing more gastro, they're feeding pets that they probably shouldn't. We're seeing more sprains and strains with pets being a lot more active at home. They're interacting with their pets more, and they've got more time. So they're noticing things like lumps and bumps and rashes. So these are all things that we need to keep in mind when we're engaging with our customers and being more relevant to them. So in terms of seeing, you know, the anxiety and all that, you know, it's really important that we stay connected with them. And, you know, it's the little things that we can do that go a long way in showing that we care. So the opportunities for us, if you think about the customer journey as before the visit, during, after the visit, and between, we're going to cover all these stages and give you some tips on how we can do things to, you know, add more value and be visible for our clients. So if we look at before the visit, you know, forms are probably the first thing that we can digitize. It's an easy way to add value and convenience to our clients. And it really is a must for, you know, creating that contactless practice. It's all about focusing on the team and client safety. So there's a number of ways we can digitize our forms. You know, we don't want to have to email forms for clients to print, fill out and scan back in. It's just completely inconvenient and time consuming for when the paperwork comes back and your team have to add those details in, scan them. There's such an easier way to do this now. There's Google Forms, there's JotForm, VetCheck has a library of template forms that you can use. And they're just really easy for clients to receive and complete on their mobile device, saving you guys time as well. When it comes to welcome packs, you know, one of the most important things is with all these restrictions changing, you know, clients need to understand how your practice is changing, because it can be changing on a weekly basis. So, you know, do they need to call when they're in the car park? Are you only running car side appointments? Are you only letting one person in? You know, with all these new appointments, it's important to be able to send digital welcome packs that outlines exactly what to expect when they come to see you. And then prescription refills or product refills, you know, this can be conveniently done on the website. Putting these forms up is completely, you know, well, it's a lot easier for your clients and it's a lot more convenient for them to complete. And on your team side, it's a lot easier for them to process as they come in. And then during the visit, it's all about informed consent. So even before COVID, you know, statistics showed us that people only take in about 40% of what we say in a consultation, and 80% of people don't follow through with a vet recommendation due to confusion. But the COVID crisis increases that communication gap even more, with client confusion on the rise. So if we can ensure that our clients are getting all the information, it just reduces those negative impacts of client confusion. So things like what to expect information sheets that cover the condition, treatment options, potential duration of treatment. You know, it's all about, informed consent is all about giving the clients a full knowledge of treatment options, the risks and the benefits to make that decision. And once they've got that information, it's all about capturing that consent with the digital consent forms with e-signatures. These are the most simplest way that you can do it. If, you know, a pet comes in, you've taken them from the car and they're having a consultation, it's simply a call to the mobile device, send them the form and they can complete in the car. In terms of after the visit, it's all about that improved compliance. So making sure the client fully is on board with the treatment plan, that they know what is required for home care. You know, the digital discharge instructions and treatment plan, they can greatly influence the treatment outcomes. They build stronger client relationships, and they can make a strong professional impression. So it's really important to invest your time into these types of communications, and particularly with, you know, Vet Check, there's over 2,000 communications in there that you are completely customizable, that you can use for whatever case or condition that you have to save you time. And then when it comes to home care videos, you know, even now with physical distancing, it's very hard to go through a demonstration with clients, like on how to brush teeth, clean ears, administer insulin. All those things are really important in terms of getting those best pet health outcomes. So sharing videos to clients when they need it is really important and adds so much more value. In terms of between the visit, you know, this Kantar, which is a market research business, they say that, you know, effective marketing relies on empathy and delivering messages that are relevant to the people you're trying to talk to. So as we saw right now, you know, people are really anxious, they're really stressed. You know, the messages that are important to them are, you know, are you open? Are you available to the client? And, you know, talking to them about messages about, you know, good nutrition at home, the relevant exercise at home, things like that, that can really relate to them. So we're going to touch on websites first. So a website is, I mean, 81% of people search businesses online before they make a decision. So it's really important that your website is professional. It looks good, because, you know, if you think of your own experience, if you're comparing two businesses, if you had one which had a great website compared to another, it does lend to the professionality of the one that looks better. So you want to make sure that it's top notch and it really appeals to your customers, and it forms part of your client acquisition strategy. So it's important that you do invest in that website. An ideal website is one that's optimized for mobile, because a lot of people are consuming content on a mobile device. Easy access to your contact details with clear signposts on opening time, staff availability, you know, what's happening during COVID as an update. And then convenience, access to those forms, those prescription refills. So you don't want your clients or your nurses stuck on the phone, you know, dealing with, you know, new client information or prescription refills. A lot of that can just be pushed to the website, where it can be completed online. And then chatbots. I thought I'd cover just a bit of information on chatbots. It is the way of the future. There's been huge growth in chatbots in most industries, particularly during COVID. And there is a huge benefit to vet practices, you know, looking into a potential chatbot down the track. So chatbots are computer programs that essentially replicate human conversations to save teams time and offer a new way to connect with clients. They say 60% of millennials actually use chatbots on a regular basis, and it's their preferred method of communication rather than picking up the phone and calling a business. Studies suggest that it does cut operational costs by 30%, because it also allows your clients to connect with you 24/7. Things in terms of a vet practice and where it would be used is to help in emergency situations. So, you know, what is your after hours protocol? Where should they call? Who can they see? Do you have general information for simple medical issues, or, you know, videos on how to brush teeth? Those things really can cut down the amount of time on the phone for your team, but also add so much value to your customers. In terms of social media, we've got a chat.
So we've got a quiz question, everyone. So we want to get you guys involved and get yourself into the chat. So if you go down to the bottom part of the toolbar, you'll see the chat function. And what we want you to do is, on average, this is a bit of a quiz question, on average, for every 100 followers who say follow you on Facebook, how many of them will see your post? So into chat now, have a think. For every 100 people who follow your page, how many of them will actually see your post? So Roxy, thank you very much. You've already come out with 5. What are other people thinking? Angela's between 10 and 20%. Brad's come up with 15%. Julie, thank you, at 8%. less than 100, definitely, Anna. I think there will be less than 100. Andrew's come out with obviously 20. You can really see, Amanda, there's a really mixed number between really hitting those lower numbers around those 4 or 5%, all the way up to, you know, those 25, 30%. So do you want to reveal the answer?
Okay. So those who are around 5%, well done. So according to Hootsuite, which is a social media platform, they say that, you know, you could expect to only be seen by less than 5% of your Facebook page's followers. So this is important when, you know, I guess planning your social media content and your engagement on that platform, because, you know, it's not, even though you're only seen by 5%, it still is an important channel because, you know, particularly through the crisis, Facebook saw an increase by usage by 70% on all their apps. Actually, it was Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. And 1 in 3 consumers actually use social media to influence a decision. But it is really important to understand that not to invest too much time or money into this channel because it does have quite a poor return on investment. So when you are doing it though, to engage with those customers that are influenced by social media, you know, make sure you're posting 1 to 2 times a day and no more to reach your audience and maintain engagement. Curate and share useful content. So content that's really important now during COVID. So letting them know that you're open is really important. Are you offering telehealth consultations? Are you offering car-side pickups for prescription refills? Those kind of updates are important. And then tell them of stories that are actually happening in the practice right now. So, you know, are you seeing parvovirus? Are you seeing an increase in gastro? You know, relate it back to an educational post where you can give tips and advice. And when using stories from your clients, it's really important to add those photo release permissions on your admission forms, so you're free to use their photos. And then I guess to help you out, because we know social media is extremely time consuming, make sure you use those social media libraries that exist out there. So pharmaceuticals offer a lot of free social media, and then VetCheck also offers their members a lot of social media that's seasonal, condition-based, to help, you know, drive call to actions and drive business back to your practice. And over to Stephen.
Brilliant. Thanks, Amanda. Okay, so for the next 20, 30 minutes, we're going to dive into email and why email is such an important channel for you. And as Amanda was saying, there's never been a more important time for you to be communicating with your clients. And with those open rates, so those, you know, only 5 out of every 100 people who you email, so who you post on Facebook are going to actually see your post, then we've got to be thinking about the types of content we create and the kind and where we best place that content. So we're going to look first at email. First one I want to do, type into chat now. Just a why will do. If you are using email to communicate with your clients, so just put into chat now and see what people are using. People are using email. Great. We've got Angela, Anna, yes, Ashley. Brilliant. Okay, so we've got everyone on the call so far seems to be using email as a really preferred method of communicating with their clients. But this is the current landscape we feel in the veterinary industry, that people feel a little bit maybe overwhelmed with email, maybe not quite sure where to start. They tend to go to Facebook because they know Facebook, but there is a myth around the amount of reach you do get on Facebook. Newsletters can be time consuming, and you know, some of these practices may not have the investment, the resources to do it really effectively. We often are just blasting out one size fits all email, not really thinking about the different audiences or different clients' needs we have in our practice and just seeing a one size fits all. And often it's very practice focused rather than client focused. And our content in our emails can be often very lengthy with no real call to action linking to a commercial outcome, which could be from booking an appointment to vaccinations, maybe through to grooming. So I want you into chat once more. If those sort of challenges resonate with you, put a Y into chat, and if it doesn't so much. So if people are putting in Ys, yeah. So these are obviously some fairly common challenges that we face. So hopefully today we're going to give you some really simple tips to how you can really get your email marketing rocking. So there's no channel that has better reach or engagement than email. And it really is used to build those relationships with clients, to drive all that advocacy and drive that loyalty. And of course, we want to drive people back to the website to take a specific action. So it could be, as I said, booking a grooming or booking a registration or an appointment. So when we think about our social channels, Facebook, for every 100 people, Facebook, you get about 5%, as Manda said. Instagram, it's going to be about 7 out of every 100. With email, we get 22%. This is industry average. So that's if you're doing very average. If you're just doing very average, you'll get 22 people out of every 100 people will see your email. And then if you use marketing automation, which we'll touch on a bit later, which is really exciting opportunity, is that you can get up to over 40% open rate and engagement from that 100 people that you send those emails to. In fact, across all industries, email is the #1 channel for driving profits. And this comes from Litmus in 2019. And they said that for every $1 a brand spends on email marketing, they receive $42 in return. So in terms of all the channels, all the access we've got, email is the #1 for driving profits. But email has got a bit of a bad reputation. It's got a bad reputation because often we send out bulky, lengthy emails. They're not personalized. Half the content might not be relevant. It's not designed particularly well. And this is where the opportunity really lies. Because what we want to be doing is we want to be refocusing our efforts into our email. Beautifully designed, highly relevant content that really meets the needs of our clients and meets the needs of those pet parents. So how do you succeed at email marketing? Well, there are 4 simple steps to driving those increase in appointments. To increase those open rates of over 105%. Those click-throughs to your website by 70% and increasing Google reviews. There's 4 simple steps that you can do to do that. #1 is segmentation. We'll dive into segmentation in a moment. Relevance, automation, and best practice. So we'll start looking at segmentation. So segmentation, for those that might not be aware, is the process of dividing your client list into smaller parts in the purpose so you can start delivering more personalized and relevant messaging to them. So a classic example in the veterinary industry where we can segment is by species. So we can start thinking, right, okay, rather than sending out a one-size-fits-all email to all our clients, if we know that they are a dog owner, we'll send them dog-related content. If they are a cat owner, will send them cat-related content, rather than just blasting them a cat owner with dog content and vice versa, which doesn't meet relevance. Because if you talk to everybody, you'll end up talking to nobody. So we really want to hone in our efforts and start segmenting our database. So the most common forms of segmentation in the industry is species. It sort of talks for itself. So you've got cat, dog, rabbit, etc. Other forms of segmentation is age. So we can start thinking about the needs of for example, a dog. The needs at early stages of its life as a puppy are very different to the needs and the information a pet owner might need at later stages in that dog's life. And also we can start even thinking about segmenting our database based on the value of our customers. Who are those customers that come in most frequently? Who are those customers that give us most value? So type a Y into chat if you are segmenting your email sends. So put into, great, Ashley is yes, a couple of N's there, partially from John, great. So Maddie, yes, Anna. So there's there's a bit of a mixed bag on how we're segmenting our database, but this is really a massive opportunity for increasing those open rates. So the benefits of segmentation is you will see a minimum of increase of 14% of those open rates. You will, if you segment your database, your email database, you should be looking for an open rate of over 36% without doubt. It will increase those click-through rates because you'll have more relevant calls to action. We know that through Campaign Monitor, they did a huge research piece just earlier this year, and they said segmented emails can get an increase of 760% in revenue per email. And of course, also from HubSpot also released a report this year that said that segmented emails increase customer satisfaction by 180%. So really by doing just basic segmentation, it's a win-win-win. So an example of segmentation, and we're going to look at Elephant Vet. This is a practice that GoVet's been working a lot with, is an example of value of customers. So we sent a Google review to Elephant's highest spending customers. So that was our segment. And what we found was we got a 74% open rate. And 28% of those people that opened up that email reviewed, left us a review within 24 hours. So this is just a really simple way of the benefits of being able to segment your database. So key questions that you need to be asking yourself is, firstly, getting down to those basics. Am I collecting email addresses? You know, if you are collecting those email addresses, is my data up to date? You know, when was the last time I sort of did what we call a data wash? We went through those emails and worked out the ones that, you know, simply have been on our books for maybe 5 or 6 years, but they haven't been in the practice during that time. So, you know, is it really valid having them on our database? Another thing you want to be thinking about is, how could I segment my database? We talked about those 3 things, those simple 3 things of age, species, and value. And then, what data am I missing? So for example, if you would think, do you know what, doing some segmentation around age would be great. Well, do I have the pet's date of birth? And if not, well, that could be a bit of data that's missing. How could I think about collecting that bit of information? So now we looked at segmentation. The next step is relevance. Thinking about getting inside your client's heads and thinking, what do they need from me? Because great content that isn't relevant to the recipient simply won't get read. So we've got to be client-centric. We've got to get inside the head, the mindset of our customers, and really be thinking, what is it that they need from me, and at which part of the journey do they need that information? Because it's no longer what you want to say to your clients, it's what they want to hear from you. So often, you know, we are very quick to send out emails about, you know, what's happening in our practice, and we've got, you know, new member of staff, which is really important to get people to understand and connect with your practice. But also, we've got to be also thinking about them. What do they need from me? What are the most pressing issues they have for me? And it sounds a bit corny, and you can use any kind of superheroes you like, but we use the idea of Batman, Robin. Essentially, your clients are Batman, they're heroes. We want them to be the best possible pet parent. And we want to see you as Robin. You're like that trusty sidekick. And it's almost like, if you can imagine Robin in the dark alley, getting in trouble with the Joker, and who's there to always help and save Batman? Well, it's Robin there, and Robin's there helping Batman get out of whatever problem or difficulty they may have. And I view this the role of the vet. I really think that it's your responsibility to help these pet parents, you know, to deliver the best possible life for their pets. And there's 4 things that we can really think about there. Number 1 is thinking about creating content that's going to help your clients look after their pets better. So that could be something like 5 simple steps to help train your puppy, or it could be something around dental hygiene. It could be allergies and fleas, poison awareness, whatever it might be. What are those core things that they need? Predict your clients' times of need during the pet's life cycle. So things that could go from things like desexing to arthritis, heart disease management, and senior wellness plans. What do they need during that pet's life cycle? What are those trending and timely topics that your clients need to hear from you? And I know, as Amanda said earlier, there's never been a more important time now for you to start communicating with your clients, especially around COVID-19, all the different changes that are happening in your practice. And finally, add value. The most important thing you can do is add value to your clients and be the trusted source of truth. There are so many different places that we're almost saturated with content. There's so much information where your clients can go and find solutions to their problems or their needs, but where we want them going is going to your website. We want you to be that trusted source of truth. So a case study that we thought we'd share with you is another one. This is really about being timely and topical. So obviously during the crisis of in January, where we had the bushfire crisis, we noticed that pets and bushfire smoke was trending on Google. So what we did on that knowledge, we sent out an email to all the database telling them about the risks that bushfire smoke has to the pets. What we had an open rate of 41%, which means out of their customer database, 1,442 customers opened and read the email, and 32 customers went on to book online. Another example is right now. Big one right now we see that's trending on Google around Victoria is, are vets open? And obviously this is an important thing that you are now regularly communicating with your clients about all the restrictions and the COVID safe practices that your clients have to show when they come into the practice, but also let them know that, hey, we're still around, we're still running our clinics, and we can still service and help your pets. So here we had open rates 46%, and we had 53 people book on online appointments on the last email send. This is just, it gives you an example of the power of email. When you're getting 46% open rate because you're sending emails that are timely and topical and highly relevant to your customers. And if we think about putting some of this information onto Facebook, it really isn't the right channel, because only 5 out of your 100 people will actually see those updates. And these are really important updates, which tell us the importance and the need for email. And the final one we did is we send new puppy email to 24 hours after a puppy has come into the practice for its checkup. And when this is sort of say, congratulations for bringing home happiness, etc. And it's just really nice. And it talks about what the pet parent needs to think about in those early stages of a puppy's life. And we find that on average, we have an open rate of 63%, purely because we're being topically, we're being timely, being highly relevant, and we're adding loads of value to those clients. So what can you do? So there's some things that you can do to think about is, well, what support and advice do my clients need from me? Really brainstorming those topics, brainstorming those moments of need that they have, and really predicting those moments of need that they may have for me. Do I have a content plan for the year? So a big thing we want to be thinking about is not just thinking ad hoc. We want to think about planning our content for throughout the year, but also leaving room for when we need to communicate with our customers those sort of timely and topical topics, for example, like COVID-19. And what content do I have that I could move on to email? So do you have any content there that you think, do you know what, this would be a great place to put onto email? I'm sure a lot of you may have flyers in the practices that you could move and digitalize and move onto email. So the next thing we're going to talk about is the really exciting opportunity is around automation. So in terms of types of email marketing, we're probably all most familiar with our newsletters. So it is the most common form of email marketing within the industry. We want, obviously, having talked about on this call, we want to be thinking about segmenting those newsletters and really thinking about providing those highly relevant messages to those clients. But the other forms we have here are things like automations. So automations is how we can automate emails based on specific triggers. So a classic one would be, for example, a birthday email. Simply having an automation that says, if the pet's birthday is X, send them a happy birthday card. That's probably the most simple one we've got. We've got things like vaccination reminders, post-appointment follow-ups. Currently with Eltham, we're looking at post-appointment follow-ups with that Google review link to try and build up those Google reviews. But setting up triggered automated emails, it increases our engagement, creates efficiencies, and has a direct business outcome for the practice. The third type of emails that we can send outside of automations are journeys. And journeys are a series of emails that we can put in place for our clients. So an example of a journey would be here is a new pet onboarding. And in this case, this is onboarding a new puppy journey, as we talked about earlier. So we've set up with Eltham that we've got a 4-part series that starts with a puppy care daily schedule, and then we wait one day, the puppy essentials. So what are the key things you need to do to feel confident about bringing home and looking after that new pup? 12 days later, we'll then send an email that talks about dog training, and then 32 days after that, we'll send a 3-month checkup. So here it's all automated and we can track engagement. But once that person, the trigger has been set that person is a new puppy parent, then the 4-part series just takes, the 4-part series will then just automatically send and you don't need to do anything. Things that you can do here is wellness journeys. You can do weight loss journey. You could do, if you've got an illness, specific illness has been diagnosed, then you could start thinking about, well, rather than, as Amanda was saying, overwhelming them with too much information, maybe you can think about stepping up different journeys. So over the course of, say, 3 or 4 weeks, we can break up that all-important content. So a case study here, as we said, a case study with Eltham. What we're finding with a new puppy journey, we found that in email 1, we're getting open rates of 63%, and email 2, the second email, we're now getting open rates of 69%. So it really shows that you're getting huge amounts of engagement, but also adding tons of value to the customers and to your clients. And it's really about building that advocacy and building up on that word of mouth. So benefits of automations and journeys, obviously there's a business outcome. You're giving your clients an absolute rockstar experience. You're there in their time of need. They're going to rely more. You're that credible source, a trusted source of truth. Also, it's going to build up that loyalty, and it's going to build up that advocacy. It builds up that relationship. It really feels that Batman Robin experience that the client will feel, they've got a trusted person who's always got their back in any times of need. Also create that advocacy, and finally, because of that, it's automated, it saves time. Your team at the front office don't need to do anything, it just all happens behind the scenes. So how do you build automated journeys? There are different providers. Obviously, you've got MailChimp, everyone will be quite aware of MailChimp. Campaign Monitor is another very popular one as well. And of course, we do at GoVet. So GoVet, we can do all the automated journeys, we can do all the content creation as well. It's sort of the whole one size fits all. We do everything. We've partnered up with VetCheck, so we are now automating VetCheck's content, so it can just again create those efficiencies within your business. So what can you do? So thinking about this, and this is again another takeaway to think about is, well, what automations could you do? Could you set up a welcome email? If so, what would you need to do that? What sort of content would you want to create? And how could you use journeys to improve your client's user experience? So the final thing we're going to talk about before we take Q&A is thinking about your best practices. So thinking about best practices. So far we've looked at segmentation, how we segment our database, to create that relevance through really good high quality content and predicting those moments of needs. We talked about automations, so how can we automate some of this email activity to hit that inbox when it's most timely and relevant to the client. And finally, it's about those best practices. So tips for email marketing. So first one, big one here is keep your emails short and focused. I think the average person will spend between 8 and 12 seconds looking at an email. We've got to think about how can we get all those messages across in the shortest, most efficient time. Email monthly. So when it comes to your newsletters, email once a month, stay front of mind, and also think about under normal circumstances, but at the moment, you may need to email more frequently if you've got changes in arrangements happening within the practice. Of course, we talked about the importance of segmenting your emails. Don't overwhelm with too many messages. So we want to make sure that every email has got a very clear objective. What do you want the email to achieve? What do you want the email to do? The next one, of course, is calls to action. Ensure that your emails have got a calls to action based on what that content of that email is about. So for example, it could be that it's about Google reviews. So then we want that call to action to be the Google reviews. It could be around it could be dental month. So we could have a call to action to be around booking your dental appointment. It could be around grooming, whatever that call to action is. Make sure every email has a call to action. What do you want that person who's received that email to actually do? And final one is have book an appointment in the header. So you can see here with health and veterinary practice up the top, we've got book an appointment here. You click that and it takes you through. We've seen stunning results when it comes to the number of people that are the number of people that are coming through to the website to book an appointment through their recent email marketing. And then finally, when it comes to design and getting inspiration around your email, there is a website that you can use, and the website is called Really Good Emails. It's an absolute ripper. You can go in there and have a look at different designs. You can have a look at how emails have been laid out, the amount of copy people are using, things like images, etc. So it's just a really nice tool for you to go and have a look at doing. Okay, so that wraps up my part of the section, but if you go into Q&A, so if you go to Q&A, if you'd like to ask any questions, feel free to either drop it into chat or you can use the Q&A function. So anyone got any questions that they'd like to ask? So do you provide, so Jen's asked, do you provide or monitor the open rate, and how is that measured? Yeah, so we will, at GoVet, we track not only if the email has been opened and how many people open the email, we actually track the individual. So we can actually see which individuals are opening your emails, which of your database are most engaged. So yes, and that's tracked, that's tracked through our marketing automation platform. What's the normal open rate for email? So the normal open rate for email is 22%. That's the industry substandard is 22%. But as I said, we should be really aiming to be getting between 36 and 44%. What we've noticed is the more timely and relevant emails that you send, the higher the open rate. So as I said, the new puppy journey, we're getting open rates over 60%. Another question is, where do the email content come from? Do I need to write them? That's a really good question, Corey. We've partnered up with Amanda and Luke at VetCheck, and all the content is already been written for you, and it's obviously completely vet approved, etc. So we are working with those guys closely to make sure that our email, that we're delivering the best possible experience for our veterinary practices without them having to write a bit of copy. Any other questions? Amanda, do you want to touch on that at all?
No, I think you covered it. Good. Great.
Okay. Another Q&A, so I can't see the Q&As for some reason. It's not letting me open up. I know there's a few. If you've typed into Q&A.
Yep, I can tell you, Stephen. So how to begin if we don't have a large database? Excellent.
That's a really good question. So there's lots of things we can do to help you build your database. But starting, even if you've got a very small database, it's a great start because you can start to communicate the ones that you do have, so it's better than nothing. You can really start to test and learn what they are most likely to engage with. But there's plenty of different ways that you can do to build your database. So obviously, when clients come into the practice, for example, one of the questions we can do at reception is just say, do you mind if you just update your details there? And keeping your database up to date and always asking your clients if they've got any changes to their database. So if you have only got a small database, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. We can still do all the journeys, we can still do all the client engagement.
Just to add to that, Stephen, you can also use VetCheck Client Communications as an email acquisition tool. So, you know, vet clinics all the time get questions like, you know, my dog's barking or my cat's scratching. You know, you can share information that with them and say, could I please have an email address? I'd like to share you some important information on this topic for you to review. And it's a great way to collect email addresses for potential clients.
Absolutely, definitely. Any other questions there, Amanda?
No.
Okay, so I might jump in, Stephen, because I can see the Q&A. So there's a couple of questions there that that you're obviously not seeing. So we've had a question from Anna. What VPMS are you currently working with?
Say that again.
So what practice management system are you currently working with?
Currently working with. So we are currently in the process of finishing the API with RxWorks, but we don't need to start the journeys and to start the triggers. We don't need to API into a practice management system. We've got our own portal that you can just trigger those journeys from the portal.
Cool. Thank you. Next question from Angela. If we are to segment on our monthly emails, are we therefore sending 3 separate emails per month? You know, examples of age, species, etc.
No. So with the newsletters, I think with the newsletters, it's really about having that hero copy, which is about, so for example, if you're a dog owner, you get the hero copy would be about, about tips around, could be around hygiene, it could be dental hygiene, it could be around allergies, fleas, heartworm, that hero content. And then the second piece of content underneath that would be more, could be something about what's happening in the practice. So it could be a Q&A with one of the staff members. But no, you'd just really be segmenting newsletters based on species only. And how it would work is you'd have either a cat owner, a dog owner, or you'd have a cat and dog owner, for example. So you could send those 3 emails. But again, that's something that at GoVet, that's what we do. We only send the 1 email, and we can track all the different pets under that one particular individual person. So they don't get 3 emails if they've got 3 pets, for example.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions. If anyone else has got anything else they'd like to ask, then you can jump in now. I'm not seeing anything else there. Okay, guys, thank you very, very much. It's been a fantastic session, and we really appreciate your time. And thank you for the next slide, because that helps me with the websites there. So, did you guys want to wrap up from here?
Yeah, I mean, we've got one more question coming through. What if we don't have a lot of images for Facebook or email? That one's for you, Amanda, I think.
So with the VetCheck social media library, we offer all the images and copy to support the whole season. So at least 1 to 2 posts a week. So everything's all organized. You can just, customize the copy and the call to actions as you wish, and just schedule it for the next 3 months. And then for the emails with GoVet, we supply all the images and the copy as well. And once again, you have the opportunity to customize that as you wish, but everything's already organized for you.
Terrific. Okay, I think that was all the questions we had. So again, so there's Stephen's and Amanda's contact details, email, and website. So if you have any more questions or any more information you'd like to discuss with Amanda or Stephen, please reach out to them directly through their contact details. We will send all of their details to you again after this session is completed, so you'll have all those now, so don't worry if you haven't written them down. And we'll also be sending out a recording of the session as well. So if you or any of your colleagues weren't able to attend today, don't worry. We'll send that off to them if they registered for the session as well. So if you also want to hear or have a discussion further about IVA and sort of what a membership would look like, and how we work with practices, then we certainly encourage you to reach out as well. We're happy to have a discussion with you just to see how we potentially can work with you and with your practice, and how we impact your business in a way that is going to be just a positive result for you, and continue to give you that support that you sort of need in the background. So happy to have a discussion. We'll send you our details again with that as well. So Amanda and Stephen, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. A really valuable session, great information, things that it's good to know that there's lots of information that's going to be available to us that is actually really relatively straightforward to be able to do when you've got all the work in the background taken care of by somebody else. And I think as many of our practice owners and staff know in our practices, that's usually one of the biggest challenges to be able to even think about doing such things is where do we go to get it and how do we do it? And we don't have time to do any of it, by the way. So having an option to be able to tackle that is so much better. So thanks again for the time, guys, and we really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We realise it's a busy time for everybody, so we thank you again for joining us. So have a great afternoon and thanks very much.
Thanks, Corey.
Thank you.